I think that the message that the Republicans brought to this forum, and in particular to the Spanish-speaking population, is that the Republicans really share their values, share many of their values of family and the desire for freedom, the desire for good education and accessible, affordable health care, and that it is incorrect to assume that the Democratic Party really is the great representative of the Hispanic American people and their interests. Well, I think initially they stayed away the first time out of fear that they were really going to get destroyed on the immigration issue. And I think they subsequently decided that they were hurting themselves more by not showing up and indicating that they just didn't care about the Hispanic American voters and that they were writing them off. And so I think finally they changed their mind and they realized they had more to gain. I thought they fared very well, and they did a good job on the immigration issue for several reasons. The first is that they did what I thought they really should have been doing all along, which is distinguishing very, very clearly between illegal immigration and legal immigration. And I think they tried very hard to stress that they were totally in favor of people coming here legally, and that the reason that they didn't support something like amnesty was because they didn't want to penalize those Hispanics who were trying to get in and waited long times and were trying to obey the rules, and so they tied it to the respect for the rule of law. And so between the legal-illegal issue, they also found a way, as I said, to do the amnesty issue, and they made it clear that being against illegal immigration does not mean they are anti-Hispanic. They tried very hard to make all those distinctions, and I thought that they succeeded pretty well. I think that in terms of solidifying more support with the people who were viewing, I think Mike Huckabee did well, in part because he was starting from such a low base of recognition. And so people were really looking at him, especially since his support had been surging in terms of the Iowa caucuses. So people wanted to see, who is this man? And he comported himself very, very well. But he showed he was personable, he had a good sense of humor, he had ability to connect with viewers, and he knew the issues, including foreign policy, about which he does not have much experience. So he did very well. I think Romney did well in terms of projecting himself as very presidential and showing that he also knew the issues and was strong on the issues that are important to the Republican base. Giuliani seemed a little more subdued. I think Fred Thompson seemed very tired and weary, and I think that he's the one that did the worst. Ron Paul really doesn't fit with this group of people. I mean, he's a libertarian. His views are very different from everybody else's, and so in a way it came out as somewhat entertaining, but that was not where the Republican Party really is in terms of their views on issues. So the two best, I think, were Romney and Huckabee. Duncan Hunter, who I really knew nothing about before, who represented from California, he did very well too. I mean, he doesn't have a chance, but he was quite eloquent and well-spoken. And I think that in general what was interesting is that the Republicans really weren't attacking each other. They clearly made a very strong effort to try and win over the Hispanic American viewers to the Republican Party. That was their goal, because in the last week or so, a poll by Pew, the Pew Foundation, and others had showed that over the last 4 years, the Republican Party was really losing a significant percentage of support from among Hispanic voters. And so their goal was to make sure that the Hispanics watching this show would say, well, maybe I should think twice, or give the Republicans another chance, or pay more attention or something. And if that was the goal of the candidates, I think they succeeded. Well, I have to admit I wasn't surprised, mainly because I think that if I were a candidate and someone would say, okay, you're going before a Hispanic audience And so clearly you know that there are going to be questions on Latin America and who are the two big boogeymen of Latin America, and they're Castro and Chavez. But also, this debate took place in Miami, at the University of Miami. And as everybody knows, the Cuba issue, the Chavez issue, is a very, very emotional issue here because we have so many people who have left Venezuela because of Chavez and who have left Cuba because of Castro. So this gave them a wonderful opportunity not only to pick out these two people as particularly detrimental to U.S. interests, but also to win support from the Hispanic Americans in Florida, which is very important. People said at the debate, for example, that the Hispanic American population is going to become an ever more decisive voting bloc. But in reality, today, at least according to what I've read, only about 6.5% of the people voting are Hispanic Americans. So why are Hispanic Americans considered so important, both to the Democratic and Republican Party now? And the answer is that the Hispanic American population in the United States is concentrated precisely in states that are considered swing states for this election, and Florida is clearly one of them, as we saw in 2000 and 2000.